A nation that destroys its soil destroys itself. Along with your entry as a country into the legal cannabis market, worth up to $128 billion by 2028, and your determination to develop a robust, unparalleled medicinal cannabis market, you should arm yourself with the knowledge and wisdom of developing and maintaining the right protocols to foster growth and sustainability for your health and wealth through proper legal and regulatory framework. Now, at the 22nd year of the 21st century, soil science is reaching greater heights with a variety of applications and to the synthesis with other disciplines. The concern with global change puts soil science at the center of ecological considerations. Soils have a major role in mediating such vital processes as the global carbon cycle. Modern technology such as high-speed computing makes it easier to assemble the different information about soils and to use integrating methods such as models to describe important soil processes. At the same time, within the discipline, there is a reaching toward a soil science, a core description of knowledge about soils, which is more than the sum of all the information derived from diverse uses of soil. Soil governs all basic principles and processes that regulate the existence of life on Earth. And because these processes include plant growth, biomass productivity, purification of water, detoxification of pollutants, recycling of elements, resilience and restoration of ecosystems, we must protect what we have and allow it to care for us and our needs. Medicinal cannabis that we have under consideration have co-evolved with diverse soil microbial communities, which are key determinants of the health of the plant itself. And since past medicinal plant research primarily focused on bioactive phytochemicals, the primary focus is currently shifting. And this is due to the recognition that a significant number of phytotherapeutic compounds are actually produced by associated microbes or through the interaction with their hosts. The cannabis plant provides an enormous bioresource of potential use in modern medicine and agriculture, yet their microbiome is largely unknown. One of my objectives today is to introduce you to a novel insight into the plant microbiome with a focus on the cannabis plant, to provide details about the cannabis plant and microbe-derived ingredients, and to discuss the possibilities for plant growth promotion and plant protection for commercial cultivation of medicinal cannabis here in Costa Rica. The richest organic carbon soils in Central and Latin America, with stocks higher than 250 tons per hectare, are located in the sedimentary region of the peninsula of Yucatan in Mexico, the tropical forest of Guatemala, and central Costa Rica, providing the link between cannabis plant microbial nanoparticles and human absolute bioavailability. A resource that is bound up in the conservation of agricultural systems, using a low level of external inputs that have become more important worldwide, since they promote the preservation of natural resources, reducing ecosystem degradation, both natural and agro-ecosystems. Within this context, organic agriculture promotes the use of agronomic practices and alternative technologies in accordance with the socio-economic and ecological conditions of the zone where the productive system is located. In particular, it refers to the fertilization which is usually carried out by applying organic fertilizer, such as manure, plant residues, or compost, much of which are produced inside the same farm area. Applying organic materials to crop not only generate a better nutritional state, but furthermore positively influences other properties, such as soil particle aggregation, water holding capacity and aeration, contributing to generating high production even with a low or nil application of fertilizer. Thus, an healthy soil is crucial for human life and well-being. However, soils across the globe are being threatened and damaged by human activities. But we must understand the importance of the soil we have, the relations between humans and soil, and the health of our soil that may be threatened. Agricultural chemicals can alter the physiological, metabolic, and biochemical behavior of the microbiota in the soil, and this can disrupt the relationships between cannabis plants and microbes and decreasing nutrient bioavailability. Gradual acidification of many Costa Rican soils is destroying the soil matrix, disrupting beneficial soil microbes, and has led to very degraded soils here, which are prone to leaching. This can leave the cannabis plants starved of nutrients, especially micronutrients. The customary practice in Costa Rica is for 3 to 4 applications of synthetic fertilizers per year in most agricultural zones. But cannabis plants need to access natural nutrients every day of the year. These synthetic fertilizers readily leach out to the soil with heavy rain, and then they cause problems of eutrophication in watercourses where they accumulate. The nutrients provided in soil form in synthetic fertilizers are very soluble, so they are easily leached, but prone to leaching and releasing. It is much better to use organic approved fertilizer alternatives containing high levels of micronutrients in slow release formulation. The decomposition of soil organic matter and the mineralization of nutrients are mediated by microorganisms and the significant environmental changes that are associated with land conversion. They quite alter the structure of such communities, and while they link between microbial community structure and key biochemical function, they are still poorly understood. But it seems probably that significant disturbances to such communities may in turn cause important shifts in biogeochemical cycling. Thus, an understanding of the way microbial processes regulate biogeochemical cycles along the axis of this disturbance may be essential to understanding the biogeochemical patterns following land conservation and land use change in Costa Rican tropical ecosystem. Rock dust is pulverized stone, often produced by a byproduct of mining industry. It has no large-scale application and consequently is stockpiled at mining sites. This dust is, however, able to deliver some crop nutrients like potassium, magnesium, and calcium. This allows small farmers nearby these mining sites to substantially reduce fertilizer input costs and increase yield. Rock dust gained momentum due to its beneficial spin-off compared to conventional marketed fertilizers. As a multifunctional fertilizer, it is able to supply In addition to macronutrients, the requirements for optimal cannabis plant growth, a range of other micronutrients, which it also improves physical, chemical, and biological quality of the soil. At the local and national level, the use of local available rock dust can create employment opportunities, increasing GDP while reducing import costs. In Europe, rock dust is applied at a large scale in forest soils in order to increase the pH of acidified soil. It is estimated that for complete recovery, 600,000 hectares of forest need an annual application of 45 kilograms of dolomite for the coming 20 years. Further applications of the rock dust in Europe concern the addition of lime to acid inclined soils like peat soil in the north of Netherlands. Similar practices with crushed shells are reported in Japan and along the west coast of the United States, where shells are also added to the forest. Examples of the use of rock dust for other purposes are similar scale but numerous. For instance, in an Austrian study, it indicated that 1/4 of small-scale farmers and home gardeners in Tyrol use alternative soil additives such as lime or stone meal, and numerous individual initiatives have been reported in Spain, the UK, and Portugal. It is therefore recommended that the new cannabis cultivators here in Costa Rica initiate an economic feasibility study for the use of sediments in your grow facilities, because looking at the mineral composition of rocks, they are able to supply potassium, magnesium, calcium, and a range of micronutrients like iron, copper, and manganese. Rock types able to supply these are beneficial nutrients include basalt, biotite, spillite, and andesite. This shift in focus leads to less greenhouse gas emissions through demand for conventional fertilizer. Further climate change mitigation mechanisms reside in its capacity to directly sequester carbon and indirectly stimulate cannabis plant growth, thus leaving them to act as carbon sinks. Soils formed on volcanic ash and cinders and having andelic properties are distributed along the circum-Pacific belt and occur sporadically elsewhere around 1.8% of the Costa Rican land mass. The mineralogical composition is a function of the age of the deposit and the climatic conditions it has been exposed to. The central Costa Rican andisols have mineralogical composition ranging from volcanic glass, short-range older minerals such as allophane and immobile, and varying amounts of alloysite. This mineralogical association gives a unique property to such soil, including a high phosphate fixing capacity, low cation retention, and a high water holding capacity. Many of these soils are found in volcanic slopes or are developed through the weathering of the plateau basalt. These soils support a human population density owing to the general ease of cultivation and also because of the cool environment and of the volcanic mountains, which is generally free from pests and diseases. What a golden opportunity right here in Costa Rica. An abundance of fertile land mass, ready for careful addition and use in your burgeoning cannabis grow facility. The success of human habitation on andisols is largely due to the soil and climatic conditions. Though phosphorus availability is a problem, there is also a sufficient supply to meet those needs. For intensive cultivation, organic fertilizers are needed. The soils are friable, well drained, so tillage is not a problem. As the soils have been used for generations, conservation practices have been installed in most situations. In Costa Rica, where the ash is generally high in silica and low in iron, organic matters imparts a nearly black color to the soil. In Andes soils developed from low silica, high iron and manganese ash, the iron oxide masks the black color of the organic matter to produce a dark brown soil. The chemical composition and selected chemical properties of two Andes here in Costa Rica are excellent agricultural soils, with the wetter soil requiring careful nutrient management and the dry soil requiring irrigation for sustainable cannabis cultivation best practices. Successful cannabis cultivation need to have fertile soil filled with organic material. Even more so, a healthy balance of minerals that slowly breaks down. This keeps the root system of your plant well nourished for maximum plant health. One of the best ways to maintain your soil for your plant is to frequently remineralize the root system, plus it will make it as nourishing as possible too. The short-term destruction of pyroclastic flows, every fall of ash and lava can completely eradicate crop, forests, orchards, and animals grazing on the volcanic slopes and surrounding lowlands. Much of you have experienced here in Costa Rica. But that is just in the short-term effect. In the long term, volcanic deposits have developed into some of the richest agricultural soils on Earth. Take Italy, for example. Except for the volcanic region around Naples, farming in southern Italy is exceedingly difficult because limestone forms the basement rock and the soil is generally quite poor. However, in this famed area around Naples that gathered nutrient-dense wells, mainly because of two large eruptions 12,000 years ago, which left the region blanketed with thick deposits of fragmental volcanic material, which has since weathered to rich soil. The region has been intensively cultivated, and it is now filled with vegetables, vines, flowers, every square foot of that soil very rich. The west coast of the United States is home to 800-mile stretch that includes 13 volcanoes, much of which are found between Washington and Northern California. I guess it's no wonder that California is referred to as the breadbasket, being the largest producer of food in the United States, despite containing less than 4% of the farms in the country. With some of its crops being exclusively to Californian soil, the state is also the world's 5th largest supplier of food, also boasting the production of great many other agricultural commodities. California's amazing climate and fertile soil also famed it for another thing, growing some of the best buds in the world. The Emerald Triangle is an area of Northern California made up of 3 counties, Humboldt, Mendocino, and Trinity, where these 3 counties converge. Growing cannabis in the Emerald Triangle has always been a way of life more than anything else. It was an experiment in freedom grown with nutrient-dense soil of the West Coast ash-clad land. So, it is no coincidence that civilization have been settling near volcanoes for thousands of years, as some of the most fertile soil in the world can be found at the base of active volcanoes. These igneous rocks are full of beneficial minerals, coming from the center of the earth, the minerals work well for aiding plant growth. Volcanic activity pushes igneous rocks out of the earth and onto the surface, where they are broken down by plant roots, because these rocks haven't been worn down or weathered on the surface before this point. Their trace elements and micronutrients haven't leached out. This means that powdered volcanic rock can be an ideal fertilizer for your cannabis plants, because once added to the soil, volcanic rock tends to break down faster than any other forms of rocks. With a higher quartz content, it makes it more accessible to your plants more quickly. So when a volcano explodes, it sends out rich layers of magma to the surface. After this magma cools and solidifies, it forms a type of igneous rock called basalt. This rock slowly breaks down on the surface and provides a steady supply of minerals to plant crops on the surface. Basalt is one of the most common rock minerals in soils around the world. Furthermore, it optimizes the way that nature works to pull nutrients from the center of the earth to the surface. Cannabis plants, given plenty of access to volcanic rock dust, will grow faster, bigger, healthier. Their root systems will improve and strengthen, and they will have increased resistance to pests and diseases. Furthermore, they will have better flavor and greater medicinal and nutritional value. The slow release properties of volcanic rock dust makes it an easy way to minimize the deficiencies that fast-growing plants experience, as it allows them to have a consistent feeding supply for longer than any other fertilizer. So, though scientists today are still researching the benefits of volcanic rock dust for crop health, it is proven that it works to improve root system, increase plant yield, and generally improve overall plant health. However, today, too much ash like clay affects soil aeration. So, having said all of this, there is a potential in using volcanic ash, if possible, which is needed for your region. It is not whether you plan to buy volcanic ash to add to your topsoil, or if you are working on farmland that has a high percentage of volcanic ash in the soil. Volcanic ash primary use is that of a soil enricher. Once the minerals in the ash are placed into the soil by rain or other natural processes, it mixes with the soil and creates a phosphorus and nitrogen-rich andesol layer, perfect for the cultivation of medicinal cannabis strains. The Central Islands of Costa Rica comes to mind. I'm not finished discussing volcanic dust found here in Costa Rica, because I know you're all standing on it. You are standing out on one of nature's greatest gifts to mankind. The volcano is Earth's most powerful mineral factory, producing everything from sulfur, phosphorus, potassium, zinc, silver, and a huge range of valuable nutrients that must benefit the entire world. This resource is a biodynamic soil activator, which is great for mineralizing and softening soils. It helps give great buds, better taste and nutrition. It helps make the environment more insect resistant and help prevent the soil from drying out. Good for composting and worms, help great microbes grow, because volcanic ash is Mother Nature's miracle growth for soil fertility. By utilizing a no-till living soil approach, you can mimic nature's natural ecosystem through integrated pest management, probiotics, and proper nutrients. You are able to not only produce amazing organic cannabis, but learn to appreciate all of the interconnected and mutually beneficial life cycle thriving among your soil. More holistic frameworks for assessing and identifying soil health that are rooted in ecological theory and are emerging with complex and complete understanding. It could be a priority of the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock here in Costa Rica to improve soil health based upon biology and ecology, as this will lead to improved management of pests and diseases. Communicate to prospective cannabis growers through an instituted soil-to-patient traceability infrastructure. The knowledge of beneficial microbes in the soil that perform numerous functions for cannabis and hemp strains, functions which include decomposition of crop waste, stimulation of growth of roots and buds, nutritional support, biological control of harmful fungi, bacteria, insects, and mites, and it helps protect plants against water and other stress. Let me draw your attention to the interconnection between your natural soil resource and the human family needs. We are now living in a time where there is an increasing need for more and better antimicrotics to treat patients with weakened immune system and who are more prone to developing fungal infections, cancer therapy, or organ transplants. And for as long as we can recall, several phytotherapeutics have also been known for their preventative features. Yet, despite the progress within medical research, chronic inflammatory diseases such as asthma, arthritis, and rheumatism remain one of the world's leading health problems. Hypertension is another critical issue for human health and is a primary risk factor for stroke, heart disease, and renal failure. Many herbal remedies, however, are known for being effective herbal medicines in the prevention and the treatment of high blood pressure. Hence, nature must still harbor plenty of currently unknown active agents that may serve as leads and scaffolds for the development and desperately needed efficacy drugs for a multitude of diseases. Today, I tell you that here in your country, the cannabis plant will be able to deliver from soil to patient many solutions to their medical problems, as this has been proven beneficial in allowing greater access through the symbiotic relationship where there is access to important micronutrients and the medium is free from weeds, pests, and pathogens. Because we know that medical cannabis also contains phytochemical nanoparticles or phytonanomaterials, which form nanoparticles for drug delivery. We also are aware of the biofunctionalization of nanoparticles as an essential component in targeted drug delivery. We also agree that the human cells can generate cell membrane-formed nanoparticles because cells retain inherent abilities to interact with human tissue. So what better time in human history to work with our natural soil, and more so for Costa Ricans using your very own natural resources. Since the discovery of penicillin in 1928, the use of antibiotics to treat animal and human bacterial disease has saved millions of lives. However, it has led to the emergence of antibiotic-resistant pathogens, which have reduced or eliminated the effectiveness of many antibiotics. In terms of antibiotic production, soil, dwelling organisms, many bacteria and fungi are sourced from most of the natural environment concept of the microbial composition and microbial-driven signaling path and even human behavior. Increased focus in medical fields explores linkages between contact with the natural environment, including soil, and microbial-driven immunoregulatory responses in humans that positively influence mental and physical well-being, including the regulatory functions of the enzyme system, which acts as an agonist of CBD1 and CBD2 receptors, even where patients consume a higher concentration level. Along with their role in human immune system development and function, soil microorganisms via medicinal grade cannabis plants have both direct and indirect effects on sustainability, quality, and security of food systems that subsequently influence human health and nutrition. So ensuring a sustainable, nutritious, and stable medicinal supply for a growing world population depends on the interaction between multiple herbal medicinal system components, ranging from production and distribution of medicinal plants and CBD and CBG products to consumer and post-consumer best practices. Across the world, a new generation of consumers are demanding a plant-based medicine and accessibility. Accurate knowledge of how the medicine they intake impacts their health, and industry disruptors are emerging to address this paradigm shift in consumer preferences. It is understandably that major plant-based medicine processes need to take cue from innovators or risk losing ground to health-minded disruptors. The key for big players within the industry and others will be to get to know their customers on a truly personal basis. Thus, they will need to focus their bird's-eye view on the broad consumer segments. The future of plant-based medicine is in personalization, and legacy medicine processes will need a digital infrastructure to collect behavioral, lifestyle, and health data about their customers in order to deliver a sustainable product line that can be tailored to each individual from both a health and a taste perspective, while minimizing the impact on the environment. The application of telemedicine through organizational structures, such as Plant-Based Sciences International and its affiliate global mergers, via blockchain in the healthcare wellness industry, have no bounds. As many Costa Ricans are becoming familiar, blockchain is extensively being used for drug traceability to combat the problems faced in our traditional system. And this will see a soil-to-patient use as a commencement. This commencement of a DNA route to nutraceutical efficacy of plant-based medicines, such as the novel approach of supplements such as Panadol, as an alternative to drug traditional use. Another prominent use case is the use of blockchains, distributed immutable ledger to maintain patient data. That is based upon the result of soil genomic sequencing through medicinal plant use, such as hemp and medical cannabis. This means that we are able to determine the efficacy of any cannabis strain grown in a particular living soil, because we grow the soil with the exacting nutrient that is aligned to a specific disease and the treatment. I'm hoping that Costa Rican authorities and those coming into the new industry will use machine learning to understand everything about each soil type you have. The relative abundance of genes in your forest soils can be strains from the soil microbial activity that provides the exacting nutrients to the plant, to the ingredients they are composed of, to nutritional information with hundreds of nutrients, dietary needs, allergens, textures, flavors, cuisines, bioavailability, and much more. Harnessing the opportunities within this industry is very important, and from the multiple intersections which exist between soil microorganisms and human health, these range from pathogen presence and transmission, antibiotic products and antibiotic resistance, immunoregulatory compounds and signaling from soil-borne organisms, to soil microbial contributions to sustainable and nutritious cannabis products. There is a need to do more research in soil microbial community and human health research here in Costa Rica. And this should better integrate soil ecology and agronomic cannabis production with human health and nutritional science. Much research is needed here to investigate the linkage between soil microbial community structure and the function of cultivated medicinal cannabis and natural soils, and human health outcomes and economic well-being, continued enhancement in bacterial and fungal sequencing. Metagenomics and the subsequent analysis are needed to further understand the intersections I just outlined. The idea that soils are important to human health is widely accepted in the scientific modern community. Soils are recognized for their contribution in areas such as the supply of adequate quantities of medical properties, medications, and for their assistance in developing the human immune system. Negative impacts occur when medicinal plants are grown in soil that have nutrient deficiency, or when people are exposed to toxic levels of chemicals or pathogenic organisms through contact with soil and soil products. However, there are still many things that we do not know about the links between soil and human health. Hence, I hope that here in Costa Rica, new laboratories can be established to respond to the growing industrial needs. Investigations of the links between soil microorganisms and human health has barely begun, and there is need for more holistic understanding of the soil ecosystem and its link to agronomic production and broader human health. As the global population grows, we need to produce more plant-based medicines that maintain or enhances its efficacy content on essentially the same land area, assuming we can reverse any current loss of degraded process. So beyond research, there is a need for Costa Rican local scientists to effectively communicate their findings to the broader community, who will not be aware of the challenges and opportunities they face if scientists do not get the word out. So closing these gaps will require multidisciplinary teams that are able to communicate across those disciplines. As for example, soil scientists are not typically trained in human health issues, and human health experts are not trained in soil science, while neither of these groups are typically trained in effective large-scale public outreach. Therefore, the emerging medical cannabis industry here in Costa Rica will need agronomists, biologists, microbiologists, geneticists, chemists, communication experts, medical doctors, public health experts, toxicologists, sociological, and within the human health realm, because they go to a common goal. So in achieving these, collaborations will require a paradigm change in how we presently approach human health issues. Based upon mapping results, appropriate solutions and interventions can be developed here in Costa Rica. Your scientists need to gather as much data as possible on disorders from those suffering from them. Poor access and the non-interoperability of such data can be and used to problem health and wellness care. With more investment into this industry, the establishment and strategic alliances into research facilities could see Costa Rica commence extraction and characterization of microbial soil DNA community through PCR amplicon surveys, lysis, and metagenomics that has revolutionized the study of environmental microbiology and microbial ecology. In particular, metagenomic analysis of nucleic acids provides direct access to the genomes of our soils, and so the integrated program offers impact on plant-based medicinal value to our human family. Before I close, I must inform that every developing country must have regulations that limit the concentration of toxic metals in solid and liquid fertilizer products. No product should have an exception. Unfortunately, some fertilizers, which we speak of, such as the EU, has a list of toxic metals that qualify under the Rotterdam Convention, but does not state their maximum permitted concentrations. Fortunately, a list of toxic elements with their maximum concentrations can be found in French regulations. Costa Rica, like many other countries going down the pathway of legalization, has a responsibility to increase the transfer of knowledge to small farmers embracing the medical cannabis industry by facilitating their productivity, to take advantage of available incentives and to improve their financial and technological infrastructure so that they may partake in this modern socio-spiritual, socio-economic and socio-cultural medicinal cannabis industry, and to do the right thing first for the people of Costa Rica. Finally, taking all this together, several lines of evidence underline a strong, diverse plant-based nutrition underpinned by your cannabis industry can improve health through processes that are directly linked to clinical diseases. It is important to realize that these effects and adaptations are often confined and specific to health domains, which must be interlinked, for we are heading to full optimization, because this is the future of mankind, starting with 1 billion people within the global medical cannabis market. I hereby charge the government of Costa Rica, growers, prospective foreign direct investors who will step into the Costa Rican legal medical cannabis industry, that you have a responsibility to the people of this planet, now and in the future, who will use your products from soil to patient. So with a sense of regulation oversight, safety, security and sustainability, welcome to the global medicinal cannabis industry. CSI Directorate, Costa Rican government officials, fellow speakers, conference participants, and the people of Costa Rica, your future is now. You are standing on it. The greatness of Costa Rica as a nation is not how much wealth you accumulate, but in your ability to care for your people's health. For your natural resource is your country's health, and it is your wealth. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doctor. We appreciate your presence, your presentation, and also